3, 2, 1. You're good to go.
Well, jumped the gun before, so I'll ring the gavel again. This is High Point Mayor Jay Wagner. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone who is here for the High Point City Council meeting for January 18th, 2022. All those who are present in council chambers, as well as those who are listening online to our live stream. I'd like to begin by stating that all 9 council members are present here at City Hall. And so there is a quorum present for the meeting. And we will officially begin the meeting by asking everyone please to rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin our regular items on the agenda, I have one special presentation I would like to make. I would like for Randy McCaslin to rise, please. Whereas after 42 years of public service and 15 years of outstanding service to the city of High Point, Randy E. McCaslin, Deputy City Manager, will retire on January 31st, 2022. And whereas Randy started his public service career with the City of Burlington as a city management intern, he then spent his next 7 years in various administrative positions with the City of Hickory, ending his tenure in Hickory as the Assistant City Manager and Director of Budget and Informational Systems. Randy then accepted the position as Town Manager in Kernersville. He served in that position for the next 19 and a half years. And whereas Randy came to the City of High Point in 2006 as an Assistant City Manager and was appointed Deputy City Manager in 2015, he served as Interim City Manager twice, and during his tenure has been responsible for the completion of hundreds of millions of dollars in construction and technology infrastructure projects that have included federal, state, local, and private sector funding sources. And whereas, in addition to his responsibilities at the city, Randy serves his community as a member of the Salvation Army Advisory Board and the Electricity's Board of Directors. And whereas Randy's years of dedicated service and his integral role in many successful initiatives have contributed greatly to the growth and improvement in the quality of life for the citizens of this city. And whereas it is the desire of the Mayor and the High Point City Council to recognize Randy for his leadership and commitment to the City of High Point, therefore be it resolved that I, J.W. Wagner, Mayor, and the City Council of the City of High Point express our deep appreciation to Randy E. McCaslin for his leadership, his unselfish and dedicated devotion to the citizens of High Point, and for his significant positive impact on the city. Congratulations, Randy. We wish your family health, happiness, and prosperity in the years to come.
Can we all come down?
Yeah, let's photobomb him. We've always wanted to photobomb. Okay. Okay.
We can't do it.
Yes.
We're going to have to squeeze in.
Don't jinx it. Approve the resolution. Approve the resolution.
Right.
Is that your resolution?
We don't usually do that.
Okay.
Okay, so now we get back on our agenda. Next on the agenda is our Finance Committee items, and for that, I will turn the meeting over to Councilman Britt Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Wagner. In front of you this evening, we do have several items that are presented in a consent agenda and then a few others. So at this time, unless there are questions or comments upon the consent agenda items, I would make a favorable recommendation for their approval.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of the finance consent agenda items. Are there any questions?
Just a very quick question on item 2022-7 and 2022-8, that discrepancy in terms of the $6.30, I'm imagining that's not problematic in any way. Are those two not related? They're so close. Imagine that they were for the same item. It's just rounded so we can kind of, okay, all right.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the consent agenda for finance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
The regular agenda item of 2022-11, when it was presented to us, it was on the incentive policy. I had asked that, looking down at this now, but that is the one that Sandy had spoken to us earlier. But I wanted it to be brought in separate. I didn't realize it would be in the closed session part of our meeting, but that was in that part. If any of you have any comments or questions on that, I thought it would be presented now, but Sandy's here. For those of you that may not have been here, Michael, Tyrone, y'all good? Y'all had a chance to review all that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, with that, then, I will make a recommendation for approval of item 2022-11.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval of the revised downtown incentive policy and the modification to the opposite industrial incentive policy. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Sandy. The next item is 2022-14. And at this time, I'll open a public hearing for the consideration of our JAG grant funding. Is there, I know it was presented. Is there anyone here to speak on that item?
Mr. Chairman, Council. I wasn't prepared to speak on this item, but I will. As you know, annually, we are eligible for the JAG grant through as a partner with Greensboro and Guilford County, and we are required to hold a public hearing for that. And so this is the date that was scheduled for that public hearing.
Well, thank you, Eric. We certainly were briefed on this, but with it under the public hearing, I thank you for bringing that back up. This council has been spoken with. This is something we do before, and Chief Travis Stroud has brought it to our attention again. So I will make a motion for approval of item 2022-14
So hold the public hearing.
Yeah.
for the public hearing. All right, so we're done. That's all.
Okay.
Sorry
So
about
we're
that.
just holding the public.
We're
hearing.
holding the
not
public
actually
hearing. I
approving
thought this
anything.
was it. Okay.
Okay.
We've heard from Travis twice, so, okay, we're good.
So the public hearing is open and is now closed on that item.
There you
All
go.
right. Next is Community Development Committee items. Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is 2022-15 ordinance demolition of dwelling, 1409 Pershing Street Avenue. I'll turn the floor over to Laura Loosemore. Sorry, Lori, I'll stretch it out next time.
Good evening, excuse me, Mayor, City Council. The first case at 1409 Pershing Street, we'd received, a complaint about the condition of the house, so we initiated an inspection. We made our first inspection on May 24th of 2018. We held a hearing on February 18th of 2021. The reason for the difference in the dates is we were having a hard time locating the property owner, and were preparing to advertise it in the paper, and we restarted the case. But no one appeared for the hearing. An order to repair or demolish was issued on March 5th of 2021 with the compliance date of April 9th, 2021. The owners did apply for a permit to make repairs, but it was not issued due to non-payment. Ms. Milton, who's the owner, did call the inspector, and just a couple of days before the hearing was held, and advised him that she was going to let her son make the repairs to the house so the house could stay in the family. The inspector advised Ms. Milton that we would need to see a permit issued, passing inspections, and work in progress. She told him she would check on the permits and would be replacing the windows first. On March 18th of 2021, Ms. Burks requested that we release the utilities for the house, which we did. They never did get that connected. On June 4th, Ms. Milton contacted customer service to advise that the meter box was off the house. And then they advised that that was something they would need to make on their own. That was not a city responsibility. The permit was applied for on May 3rd, 2021, but it was never issued due to it not being paid completely in full. Development Services did contact them 5 times since May of 2021 to advise them of the balance due, and the permit was expired due to non-payment in January of 2022. Property taxes are delinquent in the amount of $4,218 for the years of 2013, 14, 15, 16, 18, excuse me, 16, 19, 20, and 21. We sent a notice to advising them to be heard before City Council. Ms. Milton did contact the inspector over the weekend and left a message. The inspector called her back today, and Ms. Milton advised they had received an FHA loan to make the repairs, and then she stated that the FHA will start the work as soon as possible, and I'm not 100% sure what Ms. Milton meant by that, but I did call her to earlier today and let her know that the case was still going before City Council if she wanted to appear or if she had anything else she wanted to clear up about it. And I've not heard back from anyone, and I'm not sure if anyone is here for that case or not.
All right, is there any questions for staff on this? All right, is there anyone here to speak for or against this order? Thank you, Lord. I'll make the motion approval of item 2022-15 ordinance demolition of dwelling 1409 Pershing Street.
Second.
There's a motion made by Councilman Williams, seconded by Councilman Hudson for approval of the ordinance. Is there any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
Next item is 2022-16 ordinance demolition of dwelling 112 Chase Avenue. I'll turn it over to Lori.
This property at 112 Chase, we did get a referral from the police department in November of 2019. We made an inspection in November of 2019, held a hearing on August 4th of 2021 that no one appeared for. We issued an order to repair or demolish on August 4th, 2024, with the compliance date of September 6th, 2021. We had, again, this case similar to the others, the previous case, I didn't feel we had sufficient service, so we restarted the process and notified the property owners, which we do have good service. In July of 2021, Mr. Alvarez contacted the case manager and informed her that he and his father would be coming back to High Point prior to make the repairs on the home. He also stated they had hired someone in 2019 to repair the flooring, but that the material was stolen by people who were squatting in the neighborhood. And then the inspector at the time explained, since they were not at the hearing, did explain the minimum housing process to him. On August 2nd, 2021, Mr. Alvarez emailed the inspector and stated that they would not be able to come back and start work on the house until the first part of 2022. but that they would definitely secure the property and close it up in the meantime. They did not do that. Therefore, the city had to have the property secured in August of 2021, and we also had it secured previously in April of 2020. Additionally, the city had to notify the property owner of 5 public nuisance violations in 2021. The only reason I tell you that is just that they did not take care of the property, even though they were made aware that we were having issues with the property. Guilford County property taxes are delinquent in the amount of $2,427 for the years of 2018, 19, 20, and 21.
All right, thank you, Laura. Is there any questions for staff on this item? When you speak of problems, we talking like grass cutting and everything else included?
Right. We had to clean it 5 times.
All right. Is there anyone here to speak for or against this item? All right, seeing none, I'll make the motion to approve item 2022-16, ordinance demolition of dwelling 112 Chase Avenue.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of this item. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the item, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Okay. I got word from staff that we jumped the gun on the JAG grant. So Councilman Moore was correct. We did actually have something to vote on. There is in your information under that item, if we can back up, there is a resolution that we do need to approve. That resolution authorizes the city manager and the city clerk to execute the interlocal agreement between Guilford County, the city of Greensboro, and the city of High Point for the JAG program award funds. The amount of the funding is $295,667. And that execution of the agreement would be subject to pre-audit certification by the finance director and approval as to form and legality by the city attorney. So with that, I'll make the motion to approve that resolution. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Councilman Jones. Any discussion on the approval of the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
Mayor, I think that's the first time you've ever made a motion after I'd already made the motion, but that's,
Your motion died for lack of a second.
oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Because we cut you
I'm
off.
kind of proud, I'm kind of proud of it, I just.
Because we jumped the gun and cut you off, that's why. I'm giving you credit, though. You knew to do the right thing, and we all messed it up. All right. Okay, the next item on the agenda are the planning and development items. The first one is zoning map amendment 21-30, and that is a request by Todd Fuentes and 9.5 acres. And with that, I believe Sam Hinnett is going to handle that.
Yes, sir. Mayor and council, thank you. My name is Sam Hinnett, Senior Planner for the Planning and Development Department. I'm going to make sure that you can see again, shadow. The site is located between I-74 and I-85. You can see the specific site shown in red here on your screen. The request before you today is to rezone a 9.5 acre site located west of Kersey Valley Road, shown on your screen, and south of Addington Road. The applicant has proposed a new single-family dwelling, thus requiring a zoning map amendment. The zoning site is within the City of High Point extraterritorial jurisdiction, ETJ, that was established in the late 1960s. The ETJ area is a designation for lands adjacent to the city limits, where Guilford County has granted the City of High Point zoning and building permit authority. The City of High Point and the City of Archdale have an annexation agreement that outlines the limits of where annexation would be permitted by the two municipalities. The annexation agreement line is shown on your screen in blue. Lands in the area south of that blue line are now outside of the city's planning area, and there are no City of High Point policy guidance documents governing the area. Since the property is still within the ETJ, The Planning and Development Department is obligated to accept the zoning application and to present a recommendation for City Council's consideration. The eastern portion of the site, here as you see on your screen, has an R5 zoning designation. The western portion has an EC zoning designation. The EC portion of that site is shown and labeled as site and is under your consideration for a rezoning to the R5 zoning district. The Planning and Zoning Commission has heard this matter and recommended the approval by a vote of 6-0. Staff finds that it is reasonable and in the public interest because the requested R5 district will be compatible with the surrounding zoning and the development pattern of this area. The Planning and Development Department recommends approval of this request to rezone this 9.5 acre site to the R5 zoning district. Should you have any questions, I'm here.
Any questions for staff?
I do have one, just out of curiosity, Sam.
Sure.
Why R5? I know that it abuts R5, but why zone 9 acres as R5?
Sure. So the request for the rezoning from EC to R5 is due to Mr. Fuentes' request, which is to actually have a single-family dwelling there. So the Employment Center District did not allow that single-family dwelling. The only contiguous residential zoning was R5, so thus the request.
I just was wondering why 5, why 5 is chosen, but.
If I recall correctly, I'm a little bit off base, but I think it was RS7 beforehand, and so that has translated forward to R5.
Do I understand then your description there that that whole EC area is under consideration for change? Did I misinterpret that wording?
So not right now. We don't have any specific, changes coming forward.
That's fine. That's fine. Good.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, but it's really not related to this.
Certainly.
It's more a question of, is this, and maybe you can speak to, or maybe you can't, but given where this is and the fact that this is all going to one day, if it ends up in any city, will be in the city of Archdale.
Yes.
Is this an area that we really want to have zoning control over? And if not, is it something we could ask maybe the county to give to the city of Archdale to have zoning control over?
Mr. Mayor, Chris Andrews with the Planning Department. This is something that's been brought up to staff's attention. There was actually a request from another property owner along East Fairfield Road where the same scenario came up. And Planning Department has reached out to Archdale. They have no interest in annexing any of this land, so it would be a decision of the city to relinquish that or change that annexation agreement and kind of get rid of our ETJ. We wouldn't get rid of the agreement, but the ETJ could be abandoned in this area, and then that would be given over to Guilford County for any of the zoning and building responsibilities. But yeah, Archdale has no interest in annexing either this subject site or.
Do they have any interest in, even though they may not want to annex it, they may want to have zoning control over it though?
We could ask them that again, but they had no interest in anything with the site when we reached out to them.
Okay. Well, all we can do is ask, I guess.
But we did have kind of two inquiries very close to each other. I don't know that we've had many in the previous years, at least that I've been here for about 3 years. So this was kind of a swell of interest, and who knows if we'll have any in the coming years. But
Okay. Well, I wonder, there's a lot of talk about growth due to the Toyota announcement, and there could be new development pressure on this site and other sites along 2974, so just a thought.
That was the basis of my question for Sam, is somebody planning something
Yeah.
5 years down the road? It seems an odd request to me.
Okay. Public hearing is open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor or against this item? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll make a motion for approval and state that the zoning map amendment 21-30 is neither consistent nor inconsistent, as the city has no existing policy guidance in this area. Furthermore, the request is reasonable and in the public interest because the requested R5 district will be compatible with the surrounding zoning and development pattern of the area. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Hudson. Any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Next item is zoning map amendment 21-31. This is Covelli Enterprises and is a .9 acre tract at the corner of East Chester Drive and Penny Road. Mr. Shannon.
Yes, Herb Shannon, Senior Planner with the Planning and Development Department. This is a request for rezoning this parcel at the northwest corner of East Chester Drive and Penny Road. That's a Panera Bread facility. The applicant contacted staff this morning and is requesting a continuance due to the fact their local representative is in COVID quarantine. So they have requested a continuance to your February 7th public hearing. There were some concerns and objections with this request from the budding property owner to the rear, the kickback jack. Staff has contacted that property owner and noted that there was a request for continuance. They have no objections, as it would allow additional time to work with the Panera Bread and see if they can work out their concerns.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Shannon. So we're going to, we'll hold off on the presentation and everything until then. Okay, I'll make then the motion to continue this item to the February 7th meeting. Is there a second? There's a second from the Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion on the continuance? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the continuance, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes unanimously. All right. I always like to give people extra time if they can work out their problems. Next item is a plan amendment 21-08. This is a request of the city of High Point.
I believe there was another zoning case.
Did I skip one?
Yes.
That is 21-19. High Point zoning map amendment. Oh. Oh, my fault. Okay.
Yes, once again, Herb Shannon with
Yes,
the Planning and
okay.
Development Department. This is a continuation of the city's comprehensive zoning map amendment project. As we've noted in the past, the purpose of this project is to review and evaluate zoning of land throughout the city, identify areas where zoning is out of sync with existing land use policy or inconsistent with development in that area and proposed changes. There are two areas for your consideration this evening. One is map 1, or area A, that's located at the intersection of Washington Street and North Hoskington Avenue and one along Cedro Drive. This first location is a minor retail use at that intersection. This site obtained its current conditional use limited business zoning in 1998 with conditions that there only be access from North Hoskins Street and that they remove the existing driveway access and apron from Washington Street. That has been done, so since those conditions have been met, staff is recommending removal of the conditional use designation and rezoning of this parcel from the conditional use LB district to just a general LB district. Any questions on that portion of this request?
Is the fish market in there still operating?
Yes.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Remind me, is this the city's property or the housing authority's property?
That is privately owned property owned by that, that commercial developer. I believe there's a small retail use there, the fish market.
You talking about the other piece, the big piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it going to be a club?
The second portion of this request is an 18-acre parcel lying along the south side of Cedro Drive, just west of the I-74 corridor. The initial 200 feet frontage of this site has a single-family zoning designation. The rear has an office institutional designation. Staff is recommending rezoning to eliminate some land use and access conflicts. The land use plan classifies the frontage area along Cedro for low-density residential and the rest of the area as moderate-density residential, which supports a wide variety of residential and multifamily uses. The current office institutional district conflicts with the land use plan. With there being no interchange at the Cedro Drive intersection with I-74 is actually a bridge and no plan for any interchange. In order to access this current office zoning, one would have to travel through that neighborhood to access the site, because you cannot access to the south because there's a significant topography change in the railroad track along the East Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. And as staff has determined, it's not appropriate to wind through that neighborhood to get to a non-residential use. Also, there is concerns with that frontage of the site being zoned single family. The development ordinance access standards note that you can't access a single family area to get to office use, so the site is pretty much unusable. So staff is recommending that the frontage of the site be rezoned from the R5 to the residential multifamily 5 district. That will allow single family or multifamily use, but the density will still be limited at 5 units per acre. And that the rest of the site be rezoned to the residential multifamily 6 district. That matches the manner in which the budding neighborhood to the west has developed. This would allow the ability to gain access from Cedro Drive to develop the site. The property owner also has the ability to negotiate with the property owner to the west for additional access point. Thus, we're recommending those two changes: rezone the frontage to the RM5 district, rezone the rest to the RM16 district. That allows the property to be used and developed in a manner similar to the budding residential neighborhood. Staff did have an opportunity to speak with the attorney to the property owner, and they had no objections because they liked that option for the site. This item was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission at their December public hearing, and the commission recommended approval. Regarding both these requests, the commission stated that they are consistent with adopted policy guidance because the zoning map amendment is supported by goal number 1 of the land use plan, which speaks to encouraging development that enhances and preserves established neighborhoods. And the commission also stated that the request is reasonable and in the public interest because the amendments are needed to match the manner in which these neighborhoods have developed and to remove unneeded restrictions. That's a brief summary of this request. Are there any questions of staff at this time?
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Shannon.
Thank you.
Okay, public hearing is open on this item. Is there anyone here to speak in favor or against? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. I'll make a motion to approve this item, and I will adopt the consistency and reasonableness statement as stated by Mr. Shannon in the staff report. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. There's a motion and a second for approval of the item. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes. Okay. Now we're at 2022-20, High Point Plan, City of High Point Plan Amendment 21-08.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Chris Andrews again with the Planning Department. I do want to go back to that question about Archdale. Heidi Galanti is listening in and clarified something for me, so I want to give a shout out to Heidi. But she noted that Archdale did not want the zoning control. They want to keep the annexation agreement as it is now and don't want the ETJ. So things are kind of holding pat. Yes, Plan Amendment 21-08. This is a request by the City of High Point. This request is to amend 2 tracts of land along East Chester Drive, just north of the I-74 interchange, which you may recall was recommended by the East Chester Drive I-74 Land Use Assessment, which was adopted earlier this year on May 19th. Just as a reminder, this is a recommendation for land use designations, not zoning. So, we're not changing anything, physically with the land here. Just guiding policy for future consideration. But this amendment request, the subject areas are outlined in the thick black dashed lines. The green represents open space and recreation area. The yellow represents low-density residential, and the blue represents office. Tract 1, which is on the north side of East Chester Drive, consists of about 6.5 acres and is located adjacent to the Oak Hollow Lake at the western terminus of Hilton Court. The request is to amend the land use plan from the low-density residential classification to the recreation open space classification. The low-density residential classification is primarily intended for single-family detached dwellings on individual lots, and the development density in this area shall not exceed 5 dwelling units per gross acre. The recreation and open space classification is primarily for recreation or open space, which offers either active or passive enjoyment as well as environmental protection. The surrounding land uses for Tract 1 are offices to the north, single-family dwellings to the east, as well as the CrossFit gym. To the south is Oak Hollow Lake, as well as the waterfront townhomes subdivision. Tract 2 on the south side of Eastchester Drive is approximately 2.5 acres and is located on the south side of Gordon Court. This request is to amend the land use plan from the low-density residential classification to the office classification. And the office classification would include land uses such as professional, personal, and business service uses. Surrounding Tract 2 are land uses, primarily single-family residential dwelling units, as well as the I-74 corridor. So staff prepared the staff report and notes that the community growth vision statement, the city's land use plan, as well as the Eastchester and I-74 land use assessment are all relevant to this request. They support and encourage the preservation and enhancement of natural resources, environmentally sensitive areas, and the protection of the city's drinking water supply. The land use assessment recommends that these amendments be adopted and states that Tract 1 is adjacent to Oak Hollow Lake and is in Tier 2 of the Oak Hollow Lake watershed critical area and contains portions of 3 lots. The watershed Tier 2 only allows new residential uses at a density of 1 unit per acre. The other portions of these lots are in Tier 1 of the Oak Hollow watershed critical area, which is the darker shading closest to the lake. And that does not allow for any new development except public water-dependent structures. The current land uses in this tract, on Tract 1, are single-family residential and a portion of the undeveloped parcel that is owned by the city of High Point. The assessment recommended that as a general policy, properties adjacent to the lake, when they become available, the city should consider purchasing them to protect the city's drinking water supply. Since portions of these lots are within Tier 1, the land use designation is recommended to change from low-density residential to recreation and open space to reflect that desire to preserve the watershed area. And finally, Tract 2, it consists of a portion of 3 lots, 2 which already have frontage along Eastchester and are already designated as office. These have restricted access by NCDOT, so the lots that front Eastchester really can only be accessed from Gordon Court from the rear. This tract is within the city lake general watershed area, which restricts new development to not exceed 70%. So 2 different watersheds, kind of with the dividing line of Eastchester there. The current uses for that tract, for Tract 2, are single-family detached residences, and then an undeveloped lot as well. Possible future land uses for that area are office, higher density residential, such as townhomes, condominiums, or apartments. And due to the impacts of the traffic noise and light glare, this really may not be an area that's viable for single-family residential development. And therefore, we recommend that it be amended to the office classification. So staff recommends approval of the request to change the land use for Tract 1 from low-density residential to recreation and open space, and for Tract 2 from low-density residential to the office designation. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on December 14th, 2021, and recommended approval of this request by a vote of 6-0. Just as a reminder, there is no consistency statement needed with this, but I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Chris?
I have one. Was the owner of Tract 2 notified of this, and what was their response?
I'm unsure of that at this point. I mean, they were certainly notified of the public hearing. I don't know whether we got a response from them. Okay. As indicated earlier, this is kind of on the coattails of the land use assessment, so there's been quite a bit of discussion on the policies in this area at this point. But.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, can I ask about Tract 1? You say it under the recreation open space, you cannot build new structure.
So the new structure is referring to the watershed designation, which is Tier 1. A portion of the site is within Tier 1.
Okay.
The zoning, again, is not changing here, so any existing uses are not impacted at this point.
All right.
I think you answered my question on that one too. Well, go ahead, sorry, you cut you off.
No, I was going to ask you, does that extend the Parks and Rec Rangers? Right, he can go into that area now, correct?
Can you ask that again?
I say since that will become recreation open space, the Parks and Rec Ranger will have jurisdiction in that, since he has it in the lake?
Again, this is only changing the land use designation, so if zoning were to come up in the future, or if development were to occur where council had to make a decision about rezoning, that's what this is amending at this point. Whether it's, no matter what.
That doesn't change the distance.
It doesn't change the
from
tiers, no.
Yes,
So
okay.
no matter what the land use plan recommends, the development would still be impacted by the watershed tiers.
I think the ranger's jurisdiction is only in city-owned parks, right? It would have to be, it's city-owned property. So this is not city-owned.
Oh, I'm sorry, rangers. I could not understand what that
Doesn't
question
it
was.
extend
Okay.
50 feet? Doesn't he have authority 50 feet over or into the open space?
Let us check
I
this,
mean, that's, yeah.
and we'll respond back.
I think yeah, okay. All right.
So I got a question. So 7 acres of this is owned by the Hero Center. So since we're not changing, I think I know the answer, but I just got to make sure I know because my board's going to ask. So since we're not changing the rezoning, all the current possible uses for that land today don't change because of the land use.
Correct. Whatever would be permitted in the R3 district at this point would be permitted, subject to where the watershed boundaries are. So if new development, a new home or a new structure were to be built, it would have to comply with where the watershed lines are.
Which is required anyway,
Correct.
without this change.
Correct.
That's right. Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay. I will make a motion for approval of this item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Peters. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of approval of this item, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. So that's the end of the planning and development items. There are several items on the general business agenda. The first one is the appointment of Sarah Kraus as our representative on the Firefighters Local Relief Fund Board of Trustees, and I move for approval. Second. Is there a second? Second. Okay, seconded by Councilman Williams. Any discussion on the motion? Happy that she's willing to serve. Appreciate that. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Next one is the reinstatement of Mary Powell DeLilly as a representative on the Historic Preservation Commission. I move for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Hudson. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes. All right. Do we have some minutes to be approved? Are there any proposed changes to any of these minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made by Councilman Jones, seconded by Councilman Williams for approval. All those, any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Prior to adjournment, has anybody got anything they want to announce? Or I'd like to start out by saying I'm thankful that the power didn't go out. I know staff is too. But I'd like to state my appreciation to the staff also for working hard on the snow removal. I know that's a thankless job, and we have challenges regarding getting enough drivers. So really do appreciate that. Keep at it. And but I do want you to know that I appreciate your efforts. Anything else prior to adjournment?
Yeah, Mayor, I know we did it earlier, but just again, Randy, thank you so much, man. I guess I realized this is our last meeting with you. I don't know who's going to sit in that seat from now on, but We'll. Got a big seat to fill, Greg.
We can throw stuff at him easier.
I want to second that as well, Randy. I think that every time someone has thanked me for some constituent service, whether it's street lights or garbage toters or too many chickens in the neighbor's yard or something, it's all because I sent you an email and you got it done. And I have a high level of expectations for the people that work for me at my company and everything, and you're up there with any Marine I've ever served with, so thank you so much for everything you've done to make us look good over the last few years.
And I will say, I have learned as much from you as everyone else combined. It's probably because I talk to you all the time. You are an incredible wealth of knowledge. Thank you for all you've done for me.
Mine will be short. Let me apologize for all the years that we worked together. And I know I wore your phone and text and everything, but I appreciate your patience, man. You will be missed, really.
Randy, thank you for making the transition for us new councilmen as smooth as possible. We came in and immediately faced some challenges, and you stepped up to take a leadership role and guide us through a very difficult time. And so I really appreciate all that. Appreciate the quick responses on as many times as I've sent you an email. You've been right there. So thank you for everything, your guidance and your leadership, and best of luck to you.
Randy, thank you. Thank you so much. On a personal note, you were definitely, when the new council came in, you were definitely there. During those challenges, you were the main person definitely that was there to answer our questions. And definitely when I email you, whether I like the answer or not, you quickly emailed me back. And I thank you so much for that. Thank you again.
I can add a different take to it, but the professional part has been echoed, and it's well worth it. Y'all may or may not know, I've known Randy since 1973.
Wow.
Randy was You're not that old. Randy was across the street neighbor of a friend growing up, and that friend became my brother-in-law. So I've known him on a personal level back when High Point probably had about 60,000 people. So it's been great to have your knowledge and your friendship. And don't think you can change your cell phone number because I'll figure it out. So, thank you for everything you've done.
And I would like to say something. So I probably owe you an apology from the times that we first met, when I didn't know anything about city stuff. I didn't know any of the rules and regulations, and, I kind of came in as a force, and you were always so kind and polite and patient with me, and I just thank you so much, and I've learned so much and have become so passionate about our city and what the city does, and thank you so much. And last two words, the pit.
2 words you'll never have to hear again.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add that hasn't been said, but Randy, I think you're just a consummate professional. You are certainly to be commended for all of your years of service to High Point and to the other cities that were mentioned in your resolution as well. That's a lifetime of public service to the people of North Carolina, really, not just to the people of High Point. And like all these folks have said, you've been the go-to guy to get things done, and so you'll have big shoes to fill. Your shoes will be hard to fill. That's what I'm trying to say. But good luck in your retirement, and don't be a stranger. Come back and see us. I expect to see you around town, being very relaxed and enjoying your retirement. And but I do expect to see you at some point.
At the food hall.
At the food hall and at the ball games and at enjoying all the things that High Point has to offer that you work so hard to help create. So thank you again, and I think Randy deserves one more round of applause. All right. that,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn has been made, I believe that was Councilman Jones, seconded by Councilman Jefferson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned.